Welcome to episode 6 of the Punk Rock Drummers podcast.
Today, we're going to sit down with Mike Felumlee of, Smoking Popes, Alkaline Trio for a little while, Duval, and also the champion of punk rock pinball.
Uh,
Actually, I don't know if he's a champion. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but
yeah, I need to see his pinball collection. I imagine it's pretty extensive and expensive.
extensive and expensive.
Both, yes.
That should be the name of his next pinball rap album. Next, like there's one before that, but yeah,
That's
you
actually
get what
not
I'm saying.
bad, honestly.
No, it'll work. But yeah, dude, this was really fun. I'd wanted to, I think I mentioned this in the episode when we were kind of even just talking about this in the very early stages that Mike was on the list of people that I really wanted to talk to. Super nice dude. Had really good answers to the questions. I mean, I tend to form statements into questions and just say things, and he still came up with a way to answer them.
Yeah. Your questions are always very good quality questions. So give yourself some more credit, buddy.
No, I don't know. Was it Johnny where I'm like, I guess more of these are just me complimenting you than they are
Yeah.
questions. But no, man, it was fun.
Just compliment him with a question mark at the end.
Yeah, you have a good hairline. I'm slightly jealous of how much hair you
Yeah.
have. Anyways, um, yeah, man, I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one. There's a lot of cool little information, and we talk about a lot of the different bands he was in, and um, that was good stuff.
Yeah, and interesting, he's an open-handed drummer playing punk rock. So, um, yeah, I mean, you don't see much of that. So I think that's a really cool, interesting fact about him. And it always kind of throws me off when I see someone playing either left-handed or open-handed, doesn't it? It kind of like it startles you a little bit when you see that. Like you see the kit set up and it kind of takes you back a sec.
Which is weird. Because then you have bands like I saw Rancid play live once when I was a little kid, and the fact that Tim and Brett were both left-handed, so you have the singers in front of the drummer and then the two righties in the end. I didn't really real like, you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
little
it
offset thing,
messes
but
with your brain a little bit.
we're not here to talk about Brett Reed. Oh, that would be cool to have him as a guest. But anyways, Mike.
Yeah, super cool guy. Really great episode, and you guys are gonna enjoy this one.
Oh, and we have a new sponsor today.
We do.
This episode is brought to you in part by Parkway Music in lovely Clifton Park, New York, who were nice enough to give me this cool little microphone here, which I think makes me sound way cuter.
Oh, for sure.
Does it make me look cuter?
No, but you sound better. Well, that was very nice of
Whatever.
them.
But yeah, I've been going there for over 30 years now. So they've been open for 30 years. I have been going to those dudes since before they even opened that place. It's got a great drum selection. It's got a great pro audio, amazing guitar and bass sections, acoustics, everything you need. We'll link the reverb and the shop's website in the description. And thank you, Matt and the crew at Parkway Music. And who else?
Oh, Rhythm and Roast Coffee Company. Great coffee. I have some right here. I brought some into the studio. I got a band coming in this weekend to record, and I'm gonna give some to them, whether they like it or not. So I got to grind it up. I got the beans, so I'll grind some up, feed it to
Sorry, that
them,
the bee
keep
is
them
back.
caffeinated. Huh? Oh, the
The bee
bee.
is back.
Oh yeah, you have a bee flying around.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's cool.
rhythmroast.com. And we also like to always talk about sleeved washers. Sleevedwashers.com help keep your drums in tune, keep your lugs tight, reduces rattle. Got a package of them right here. We like to talk about them. We like to support them. Our good buddy Rhino um, sent me some of those. So
Yeah, buddy.
yeah, so let's get to this episode. Mike Felumlee of Smoking Popes.
Later, nerds.
Bye. How are you?
Good.
Good. Been talking for a little while, but it's always good to see face to face, even though it's not really in person. But this is pretty good considering we all live so far away from each other.
Yeah, I apologize about that, Mike. I for some reason I thought you were an hour ahead of Matt as well,
Oh,
but
that's cool.
nope. Yep. So we're all here. So yeah, I guess I don't really know where to start, man. I got a lot of questions. I don't want to start punishing you immediately, but I guess a good place to start is kind of with your start. I'm just very curious about the whole open-handed thing. Was that like growing up playing on backline kits, or was that just what was comfortable? Or
Uh, well, I'm left-handed, so like if I play guitar left-handed but strung right-handed, it's like my high E is a top string.
yep.
Uh, and when I started drumming, like it was the 1980s, so we didn't have like I didn't even have MTV. There was no YouTube, so I hadn't really seen another person drum. Like I hadn't seen any other drummers play, and I just started playing that way. So I didn't even know it was weird. And like growing up, the first kind of punk shows that I played, really the only other drummer in our town was Glenn Porter.
Oh
He
wow,
was like the original Alkaline Trio guy. Like he and I went to like junior high and high school together. So I think it was like I was probably like a freshman, and like we would do shows in Glenn's garage, and he also played open-handed. So I probably played for three years or so before I even knew that it was different. I just thought that's how people played because Glenn played that way. I played that way.
that's actually that's really interesting. I just did it ever feel unnatural? Did it ever feel like you should have been using your other foot to you, or did it just come natural with the right foot?
No, it's weird because I'm left-handed on certain things and I'm right-handed at others. Like
Okay,
I play sports right-handed, and like if I were to have to kick somebody, I would kick them with my right foot.
it's a
Like
it's a good way to put it for
like as
sure.
a small child, if you were going to abduct me and I was going to kick you, it would have been with my right foot. So like the right foot, it was natural.
You're ambidextrous.
Good.
Yeah,
Did that?
that's
Oh,
pretty cool to have that. I mean, as a drummer, to be able to use, your right and left hand pretty independently, when most people are either very dominant one side or the other. Does that seem to help you when you play drums? Is that kind of like a superpower you have?
Well, I mean, I feel like one of the only things I'm really good at is like I think drums sound best when you hit them hard. I know everybody has their own way, but like I feel like rock drumming should be done like hard and with authority. And being open-handed, you just have this whole there's nothing in your way to just smack the shit out of the drum. Like usually in between snare hits, like I'll hit my collarbone with the tip of my stick and then like so like get a lot of and if you were like cross-handed, you can't really do that. And you'll
Right.
see like cross-handed players that hit hard, they've got their hi-hat like way up high, because they need if you look at like the Dave Grohl setup, like his
yep.
hi-hat like a foot higher than his.
So Bill Stevenson calls that prison. I can't remember what exactly he calls it, but he calls that motion like what does he call it? Like snare prison. He's like when you're playing over here, you don't hit as hard, but when you open up and go to the ride cymbal, it's like bam, bam.
All that room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't know if you had ever talked to him about that before, but he's mentioned that to me before. I thought that was really an interesting thing that he said. And now I think about it every time I play.
We've played some shows with Descendants. I've never really talked to Bill. Our singer Josh has talked to him. I'm just I don't know why I'm like intimidated by him. So like I never
Me
talk.
too.
I'm like afraid of him. Uh, he was like
He's a sweet guy.
he was a big heavy influence on me. Like in when I was first learning, I had like on cassette, I had like Hallraker and Liveage and like those. I would just blast those on my stereo and like play along to those. I feel like I kind of grew away from that style, but like all the first like fills and stuff that I learned were like listening to Descendant stuff mostly. Well, I started playing along to like the replacements because that was a little easier. But once I got a little better, I started playing to Descendant stuff. So then even though we were, when we played with Descendants, I was in my 40s, but I still was like afraid of Bill.
Yeah, it is. It's strange how you can still like I'm in my early 40s now, and I've definitely like run into a couple drummers that I was just super intimidated to speak to, and I don't know. I think part of it too is for me. It's like although it's never happened, I'm always worried that someone's just gonna be a giant asshole and it's gonna ruin the music for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been doing this for a couple episodes now, and we've been pretty fortunate of having everyone just be super nice. So
Yeah, most people that come from like punk rock or like at least some kind of DIY deal, I think most of the times they're pretty nice in my
yeah,
experience. Like I've done this I have like a YouTube channel I used to do a ton. It's called Live from the Rock Room. And I would have bands do like live sessions in my basement. And I've had probably 200 bands or so through. And pretty much every band that was a punk band or at least like started as a punk band, and like that's a very loose definition, but like bands that grew up like doing it
yep,
themselves, like they're all cool. And then a lot of I've had a handful of bands that kind of didn't come from that, and they were usually the ones that were more had like a weird kind of sense of entitlement or whatever. Like,
right.
uh, so I think you, I don't think I've ever met like a band like bands we toured with that were like punk bands that were dicks. They've all been just about all of them have been nice. Like even though I was afraid to talk to Bill, they were nice. That was just my problem. That wasn't his.
I'll maybe when we're done with the interview, I had one less than a pleasurable experience with a guitar player of a certain band when I was a little kid. But yeah. Anyway, so we'll go
Don't need to
on.
name them.
What's that?
We don't need to out anybody.
Exactly, exactly, dude. I wanted to ask. I'm sorry. I tend to be the one out of the two of us that focuses in on like very subtle nuances. But there was one thing I wanted to ask, or probably, let's be honest, fucking 20, 30 things that I want to ask. But playing open handed like that, do you start most of your fills with your left hand?
I start most with my right hand, I think.
Really?
But I don't even know because I'm not like a technical drummer at all, and I don't actually know shit about drumming. I just do I just play what I know how to play. And so I know when they talk about people like leading with the left or leading with the right, I don't even really know. I think I start most fills with my right hand though,
Oh,
if I had
shit,
to guess.
Yeah, I think
that's
Because
that's a
interesting.
Ringo thing, leading with your left. I think that's what Ringo did.
Well, dude, when you start a roll, if you're just doing like 1 2 snare, 1 2 rack, 1 2 floor, and then back, you're starting with your left ear in order to transition from the floor to the snare tom or the snare drum with your left hand. So it's kind of going in order, so you don't have to do that weird cross pattern at the end of it. But yeah, I guess I just assumed playing open handed that you would have started with your left, but
I think I maybe kind of lead with the left, but like a lot of my like snare rolls, I almost do like a ghost note with the right first, like a little ghost note with the right, but the first loud hit is coming off of the left.
left.
And if I'm doing stuff where it's going to the toms, like my left hand's gonna hit the tom first. Although sometimes I lead right and sometimes I lead with the left. I guess it depends on what the fill is.
Right.
I
But
was watching some of your videos earlier and I was trying to figure that out. Sometimes it's so fast, it's really hard to tell just from, a quick video.
And like if I were to do the beat like, 16th notes, on the hi-hats,
Mm.
I can either start with the right or the left, and it would depend on what the beat would be, which way I would do it.
shit. So I saw it was the year before last. I saw 7 Seconds play, and they had Sammy from like Civ and a couple other bands playing. And I was curious, man, did you ever just not have the desire to kind of throw a ride cymbal right there so you can play off? I mean, that ended up kind of being your defining sound, right? Was the
Like
just not,
no
yeah,
ride
yeah,
cymbal. Yeah, I played a ride cymbal, I think on like maybe like four Smoking Pope songs ever. Megan has a ride in it, and I had the
oh,
rides
that's right.
rides over on the left. I think I played a ride on Rubella, It's maybe just those two. Uh,
It's funny that like it's weird too. Is like I grew up listening to both Popes and Alkaline. And the first Alkaline record I heard was the one you were on. And it's weird too that like I'm trying to think of how to word it because I don't want to seem like I'm like trying to kiss your ass here, but it's weird that you don't even notice that it's not there. Like you play well enough around it to not make me at that time go, yeah, it's weird that there's no ride cymbal on here. And back in the day, like you could barely see a drummer play unless you saw him live. So it was like I had no idea that you were playing open handed like that until I'm trying to think. It was yeah, it was a while ago. So that's cool that it sort of defined your whole sound.
I think I've seen some critiques of that where they've said that it's like too bombastic. That like that would be the critique is because I don't use a lot of like finesse and like I've never done like a double stroke anything. I don't even know how to do a double stroke anything. And then like a lot of times if where a ride would be, I'm just playing on the crashing, like
Yep.
I'm crashing. So it is like a little bit more kind of obnoxious, I guess, but I don't know that I
No,
don't
but
play.
I think with the kind of music that you're playing, I think that's I hate to lump Popes in as like the pop. I don't know what you would consider it more like rock and roll, but I think that your drum style adds like a necessary aggression to it. You know what I mean? You're pushing the songs for sure. So I think with some of like the poppier, I don't like that word. I don't know what else to use
I
in its
like the
place, but
word.
like
It
Yeah.
makes
I'm just
sense.
saying like I don't want it, but like it really like I've generally drawn more towards music, love songs, but with aggressive instrumentation behind it. And I think that you push the songs in a really good way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that's kind of like the one thing that I'm good at doing is just making a band, especially live, just like rock. And the size of venues I played most of my life, I feel like it's more essential. Like we're usually playing, like 150 to 300 capacity rooms where everyone in the room can like hear and feel the drums themselves off the stage. So I always felt it was, and then starting off playing like VFWs and garages where stuff's not even mic'd. So if you want the band
Yep.
it to be driven, the songs to be driven, like you have to play hard and loud.
Well, we have to play louder than the guitar player and the bass player too.
Yeah. I guess if you're in like a massive band, and it's, you're playing 5,000 seat venues, like people aren't even hearing the actual drums, that aren't mic'd. So it wouldn't matter as much. But I think growing up, like playing like very small punk shows, it's just kind of, I think a lot of guys that came up doing that like hit pretty hard and play loud because
Yeah, and I always like when people are like, how do how do your drums sound so good? And it's like I hit them solid. I feel like, of course there's tuning that makes a difference, but I feel like the way you hit it is also going to affect the way the drum is going to sound, essentially. I don't think that's any secret, but
yeah.
I don't hear people talking about that very often. It's always about tuning. But
Yeah,
when you hit hard and solid, it sounds better.
I think it's more to do with how hard you hit it and how like accurately you hit it and hit it hard at the same time makes a bigger difference than tuning. Because I've played a lot of like festivals and things where I'm using a backline kit. Like we just played that Rebellion Fest last year in the UK, and we finished our set, and like the monitor guy and the front of house guy came back straight to me at the end of the set. And like, what did you do to the drums? I'm like, nothing. That's the best they sounded all weekend. And I'm like, I just hit them hard. I didn't touch the drums. Like you just hit it hard and then it sounds better.
Yep. Some people are afraid to hit the drums, and you're not going to get a good sound. Yeah.
I
I
guess,
mean, in a puck show.
yeah, if you hit lighter, like, I think tuning is more of a big deal if you're not hitting hard.
Hmm.
And like a lot of guys like tune them to notes and like that's all cool. Like, And I think if you're doing different genres of music, it's probably essential. And but I don't know how to play those genres of music.
Well, I think
But
it
dude,
sounds I think it sounds cool because Smoking Popes is a little there. It's not heavy. It's not heavy music. But you play so solid, and I love that kind of contrast that they have that you hear in the music between your drums and then the kind of softer sound of the guitars and vocals.
Yeah, it's
It always sounds so pleasing to my ear.
I think early on was somebody wrote up that was almost like Frank Sinatra singing for the Ramones or something like that.
That's a good description.
It
that's
kind of works.
pretty well put, I'd say for sure. I'm trying to think of the last time I saw you guys at. I say this every episode because this is the one thing I do every year. But was it 17 that you guys played Stoke for the summer with Bouncing Souls and Against Me?
Yeah, I think it was probably 2017.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's yeah. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen you guys play, but I remember definitely like yeah, hearing that just that aggression was, dude, it's great. It's funny as I always like, I'm so worried that I sound like I'm like gassing people up, but I wouldn't have you, or we wouldn't have asked you to come on here and talk to us if we didn't like your, you know what I mean? Like I keep apologizing, but I'm like, fuck it, dude. Like you're here because, I like the way you play and, just ask you some questions. So, I usually like will pick a song sometimes and just ask some questions about it. I think I kind of know, judging on what you said about just kind of just playing and not really, knowing a lot of like the technical sides of it. But my oldest daughter, my 13-year-old, is a huge fan, dude. She sings "Simmer Down." She wants to listen to it every day on a ride to school. But I asked her to help me with it, and she's so funny. She's like, "Well, you should probably ask about Rubella because it's an older song and more people will know it." And I'm like, "This kid's smart kid." But
How old is she?
13,
Awesome.
13. Yeah, she's a musical little one. But we I noticed this something that was really cool about in Rubella, and I don't know if it was your choice or the way the song was written, but the very first pause in that song is straight in 7 seconds. And I really feel like most bands would have kind of played through that guitar progression twice and then did the pause before the words come in. But it's like it's in right there.
Yeah.
Was that your idea, or is it too long ago to ask these questions?
Right, it was either my idea or Josh's idea. Like Josh lived at my parents' house with us like most of that time. So he and I would just go down to the basement and just like record stuff on a 4 track. So it's either 50% chance it was Josh or 50% chance it was me that put that stop there. But I can't claim that it was me because I don't remember.
But the first time I heard it, I just remember it being such a surprise that it happened so quick. And I really like, I write songs too, and I definitely don't want to make this about me, but I tend to put too much before the lyrics start. It's just to kind of have like a little bit of a pillow. And then when I hear that, I'm just like, fuck, dude, I should have just gone right in and went for it. Um, that's cool. So you guys live together. That must have been a fun
Yeah,
time to just like write music and
yeah. I mean, how old I was probably like 17. I think I was like 17. He was like 18 or 19. And like his parents made him move out of the house when he was 18. So then he moved into my parents' house. And when I wasn't in school or whatever, we would just like chain smoke in the basement. And I'd be like, we should record something. And then he'd be like, all right. And he would like go upstairs to the bedroom he had there. And like about an hour later, he'd come down. He's like, I got something. And then we'd just figure it out, play it. And that was most of the Born to Quit songs like started. That's kind of how they were written. Like we were bored on like a Friday night and needed something to record. So he would go up and write a song.
I really think that like some of the best stuff is written with only two of the band members. Whether it be the bass player and the guitar player or the drummer, I think it gives drummers especially. I think it gives us more freedom to help structure, which I
Yeah.
think we do a lot of and don't get any credit for of arrangement. And
And like Matt and Eli, like the guitar and bass player, they write all their parts too, but like the structure, usually Josh and I would hammer out a structure and then but like Eli has a lot of solos that like he would write those and Matt would write the bass line. Josh would just do like a real basic bass line and then Matt would do his deal. But it is fun to do like the structures of the song, like the basic arrangement, like with just two people, I think is for me it's easy that way rather than having four or five people all try to say, well, this part should do this, like just like the drummer and the songwriter together, like I feel is a great way to just make a concise and tight arrangement of a song.
yeah, were lyrics usually added in way later, or
No, Josh would have the lyrics. He would come down with like the whole like all the chord progression, the lyrics, and then we would just mess around with tempos and stuff never really changed a whole lot from what he would start with. Like once in a while, one would be slow and we'd make it fast or vice versa. But usually, like his strumming patterns and like kind of the vocal melody would basically tell my brain what I'm gonna do drum wise. Like I do a lot of accenting, like with the vocals and stuff. And I feel like I drum more like it's a musical instrument than like I mean I'm playing rhythms, but I'm not doing like drummer stuff because I don't know how to do drummer stuff. I don't have like real chops. So I'm just trying to do like things that musically would sound good with the song that he wrote. I guess
but
it's kind of how Ringo did it too. I guess I'm kind of like a punk version of Ringo, maybe.
yeah, I'll give it to you, man. Like there's definitely, you know, there's man, I think you should give yourself more credit than you do, but I know it's hard to but like I liked in Rubella how at the end you end it with like that flurry of snare rolls and the cymbal hits.
Mhm.
And then the first verse you only do it once right at the end of the verse. And then the second verse, you kind of like you just increase it like little by little, and it's like the perfect build. And then that outro just fucking hammers, which again, man, I think it complements against like the softer vocals, just have those like pulsing drums. And then the other thing was I noticed there's like almost like a little Latin like reggaeton swing in the verses. Was that like I feel like most people would have gone like bah, 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 but you kind of threw that swing in it that had a great feel to it.
Yeah, I think I always go more because it's kind of like a kick heavy drum pattern. And then I've realized like as I get older, like most of the shit I write, it's got a whole lot of kick drum in it. And then that's getting to be more challenging to play as a 50-year-old. Like I've given
That's fair.
myself like I think they call it tarsal tunnel syndrome. It's like carpal tunnel like of the ankle.
No,
Uh, because of just everything has so many kick hits in it that I do. Like, why did I do that? It would have been easier to go do that, that'd be easier.
Yeah, the
But
nature of these punk rock songs, sometimes there's a lot of tight rhythm and you really want to accent that with those kicks and it can really wear you out. I'm starting to get Charlie horses when I play now, so I have to eat bananas and stretch a lot more than I used to when I was
these
younger.
days, I can't like usually after about song number three, I can't feel my right foot anymore. Since my right foot goes totally numb about three or four songs into a set. Or at least like the right half of my right foot. I can usually feel the right big toe, but the other half of the foot's just not there. And it's pretty strange.
Yeah, you might want to get that looked at.
Yeah.
It's weird. My left arm always tingles and my heart hurts when I'm playing. I don't know. I'm
I wonder if
fine.
that could be a drum throne thing, maybe cutting off some of that circulation. I know that happens to me, and I know that happens to you too, Christian.
Oh yeah, I got a new throw in a while ago, and this thing is ridiculous, Mike. It's like I think it's 18 inches wide and
Wow.
15 inches deep, but it tapers down in the front, and it's just like it's enough to support your hips. But I'm like over 6 foot tall, so finding a throne for me was always a challenge. But yeah, that's actually a good point, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it
Buy
happens to
yourself a
me.
throne.
It's a rocking sock with a comfy one. Like it's comfortable, but maybe it's not the right shape for my body anymore. Maybe I should try some different ones.
Well,
dude.
we get stuck on our ways too, and we're like, I don't need a new, I don't need to change. And then you know, we just deal with it.
I wouldn't mind one that's a little bit lighter. Those rocking socks are heavy.
Yeah.
Like just the cushion part has got to weigh like 12 pounds or something.
Hmm.
If I could make the hardware bag lighter, that's part of why I never brought, like, that's part of why I don't play a ride cymbal, is because I didn't want to have an extra snare stand or cymbal to have to break down and carry. Like
That's,
it's annoying to have it on the left anyway, but like it's also annoying to have one another piece. So I
yeah.
want as few pieces as possible.
I ended up mounting my crash. I have my ride on a boom, and then I just put like one of those auxiliary clamps going the other direction, so I have just the two boom arms coming off one stand. But yeah, you're right. I've been checking out that Yamaha, that like really lightweight hardware that they make, but it just looks, it's not pretty. Have you ever seen it before?
I haven't seen it. I don't really care what it looks like, but will they fall over? That's the question.
Well, when we're done, why don't you Google it? You might care what it looks like after you see it.
Okay.
It's
I Google it
interesting
while
to
we're
say.
talking.
Yeah, it's very like it's like what they probably would have guessed hardware would have looked like in the 50s.
Okay.
But yeah, man. Anyways, I don't want to get hung up on product placement. They're not paying us yet, so
Well, I mean,
actually,
if you're
while I shit all over their product, I wonder whether or
they're
not
not about to pay you if you're going to disparage the product.
I played Yamaha drums for years, and I absolutely love the drums. It's just that particular hardware I'm not a fan of.
Okay.
So, anyways, enough bashing people. What like the writing process? So typically it was just the two of you guys.
Hmm.
Okay, and then I gotta ask, man. I grew up playing with my brother. At one point, it was all three of them, right? We're brothers, besides you.
Yeah, that's still like we have some fill-in guys that tour with us, but the main band is like the three brothers and me.
How many rumbles were there?
Not many rumbles. We're all pretty like non-confrontational. So there's probably some times where maybe things might have been better if there were to be a rumble, but we're not rumble type people. So like probably in the 90s, especially probably a lot of like weird passive aggressive behavior because none of us like just rumbled with anybody.
Dude, yeah, the awkward band practices with my brother and I of just like pounding on each other and screaming and then just going, all right, cool, you want to try it again? Wow, dude, all right, that's well, good for you guys for having some self-control, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would
that's
think
actually kind of rare, honestly.
I would say there's never been a physical altercation within the Smoking Popes that I mean there were a few years that I wasn't in the band that I can't answer to, but of the however many years I've been in the band from 91 to today, like we've never had a physical altercation, like an inner band physical scuffle.
That's
But
awesome.
you beat up other bands then.
Well, I think we've never actually had as a band, like had a physical altercation with anybody. There was like one show in 1990 something, like only one of our shows has ever really been a fight. And that was like in Toledo, Ohio in like maybe 96 or 97.
Yeah, I guess typically
Like
it's not fighting music.
yeah, we're not really fighting music. We don't bring out the fighting type of people. So and I'm happy about that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it definitely makes shows
Me
much
too.
more
I'm not a
fun.
fighter. I'm a big guy, but I'm not a fighter.
And that's where I'll say, you know, today, like there's a lot of like this nostalgia for like how great the 90s were. You know, like the 90s were the best time ever. And it's like for playing shows like today versus the 90s, like the 90s were terrible compared to today. Like the behavior of the people in general. People are just way more polite and better to play to in 2025 than they were in 1995. Like you couldn't pay me to go back to the 90s. Like there was some great music, but like just kind of the way people behaved socially now is like 1,000 times better than it was in the early and mid 1990s.
Well, I think a lot of people are kind of under, you know, not surveillance, but everyone has a phone. And if something's happening, someone has their phone out. So people are behaving a little bit more, I think, or more
Yeah,
aware.
we would get stuff like, you know, being like kind of a softer punk band, and we played a lot of punk shows. We would get a lot of like heckling and shit thrown at us and certain things yelled at us, and like that hasn't happened since the 90s were over.
Mm.
Like in the 2000s, like I don't think we'd been heckled one time, even if we were playing to a crowd that like didn't really like us. They just are polite and let you finish your job, and they watch the next band. But in the 90s, they would like let you know that they
Dude,
didn't like what you were doing.
I remember.
I always hated that too with like the more like softer sounding like popular bands. Like it doesn't speak to anyone's character. Like you know, our small town, like some of the roughest motherfuckers I knew were like playing in really like happy, upbeat bands. But it's funny that like that becomes like what everyone thinks of you as a person, where it's like, dude, you're getting to do the thing that you love is hang out with your friends and play music. Like I'll do that whatever style of music just to be able to play drums. You know, I think that's where it kind of starts with me is that's my first love was playing drums, and you know, finding punk and some heavy metal stuff afterwards. Like it changed my life for sure, but the drums changed them more than any of that other stuff did. So yeah, it's weird. The 90s were, it was cool, but yeah, I don't think I would want to go back particularly
No, I
either.
think like the whole like I think we got a lot of shit because like in certain shows because like Green Day was getting huge, and they were on a major, and then like towards the later end like Jawbreaker did their deal and signed to a major, and like we didn't sound just like those bands, but we were in the same kind of vein, and then we signed to a major, so you had the whole like sellout thing that was such a big deal in the 90s. And like I feel like people nowadays, like if a band like becomes huge and starts to actually make money for themselves, people are just generally kind of happy for them now. Whereas back in those days, it was like, oh, you sell out, you suck now. Like, even though we never really became all that popular, but like still got the whole like kind of sellout thing. And I'm glad that like the kids these days and like the younger bands, I don't think they have to deal with that stuff, and I'm happy for them to not have to deal with that.
Well, there was always a huge double standard of that stuff too. Was it like Scowl or one of those newer hardcore bands did like a Taco Bell commercial and everyone shit all over them? But it's like, what do you eat when you're a poor band
Yeah.
touring?
Well,
You know what I mean? I've always thought like that whole like, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely damage control and like minimizing the need for this stuff. But you know, it's like an anti-corporation, but you're wearing your Doc Martens that are owned by Skechers. Like, there's no way of avoiding it entirely, right? Like, and then like selling out, dude. Like, getting to make music and get some money for it. Like, fuck it, dude. Do what you got to do. Even if you do sell out, good. Enjoy. Like, play music. Have fun. It's better than being behind a desk. At least for me, you know.
I think a lot of
yeah,
those guys were actually striving for that. It's just if they didn't get it, then they would they'd be the ones, mad at the ones who were successful.
yeah. If you can find a way to have somebody pay you to do like the music you want to do, then like you should do that.
So, how much money did you make? I'm just kidding.
Not a lot.
No. We want exact numbers. If you could just pin your bank account at the bottom here, I don't see it. Did you do it yet?
Yeah, no.
No. So I wanted to ask, man, you know, the break that you took from Popes, was that a like a personal thing or
Uh, it was so I was in the Popes, and then I did the deal with the Alkaline Trio for a little bit. And then I was in like Duval with Josh and Eli for a little
hmm?
bit, which was very much like the Popes, but a different thing. And when I left Duval, like me and Eli and Josh weren't on super great terms. And then when they decided to get the Popes back together, they just decided they wanted to do that with somebody other than me on the drums. So I hadn't like talked to those guys in several years at that point. And I probably wouldn't have done it. It was like '06 when they first got back together. At that time, I probably wouldn't have wanted to do it
Right.
anyway. But then like later on, time heals all wounds. And
Well, it's good that you guys get it back together.
yeah. And like most of the stuff, I think are the reasons why we were on bad terms, I don't even really remember, and it's probably some trivial crap. But when you do a thing with, you know, like a professional thing with people over like a decade and you're all kind of young and not that smart about a lot of things in life, like you can have a lot of ill feelings over like some really stupid stuff. I couldn't even tell you why. Like I don't really know why like we had a falling out and it doesn't matter at this point.
Right.
So yeah, they when they did the first reunion, it was without me like by design because like they didn't want to play with me, but that it's all cool now. And I don't know if any of us even really remember like why that was that way, but
Right.
just being young and dumb, I guess, probably.
When you when you had mentioned, it's funny that the first time that we spoke, it's just tough with a lot of like some bands. You'll go to Wikipedia and it'll give like a coded timeline of who did what, but there isn't one for you guys. And when you told me the two records that you didn't play on, I completely forgot about them. And instead of texting you, I was like, I'm just going to listen to it. Only a test.
Only test I did not play on.
So was that Neil?
So which one came first, Stay Down or Only a Test?
I'm not sure.
Because the first one, I think Stay Down came out first, and that was this guy Ryan, I'll say Ryan Chavez.
Okay.
Am I right, Matt? Do you know this? I don't know.
I don't
And then
know. I
and
can
then I
I can
think
Wikipedia it.
and then
But
Neil,
no, but you can't though.
I guess you can't really.
Oh, yeah, no, 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 it's not on Wikipedia. It's somewhere. It's somewhere online. I
I think
guarantee
I'm
you.
right
Discogs,
there. And then This Is Only a Test, I think, is Neil Hennessy. Pretty sure.
which it's funny is the only thing that after you telling me that you didn't play that I picked up is I mean they must have told him no ride cymbal to kind of keep with the but it was his kick patterns. They're just uh, oddly not oddly that's not the right way, but they're just so different than what you would have played. And I feel like his kick didn't have as much like low end as yours, but it's funny to like pick up on those nuances and just go like, oh shit, like the kick patterns. You're right. Like you did play very kick heavy stuff, so I bet he can still feel his foot. But
Yeah.
you made some memorable drum parts for sure.
Yeah, I think what as I like go back and like relearn and then just feel the physical fatigue in my leg of playing a lot of the stuff now, I've realized recently that that's probably like maybe the most interesting and unique part of my style is the kick patterns that I play. And there's just like a lot going on with the foot. Because I don't even do a lot of fills on like the newer few records. I don't do nearly as many fills as I did on like the early stuff, but I feel like the drumming is still kind of more interesting than some of the old early stuff in a way because it has kind of like it's stuff that's weird, but it's not weird until you like sit down and figure out how to play it. Like doesn't sound weird just off the bat, but I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think too the kick patterns, and I've noticed too, and I definitely stole a lot of this from your time with Alkaline and Popes, is kind of like rolling off the toms, but like I mean, I would play under under my time hand and doing like you definitely, but that's probably one of like you said easier to do when you're playing open handed. You're not tripping over your other arm. What'd you call it, Matt? The hi hat prison.
Either snare prison or hi-hat prison. I can't remember what it was. I'll have to ask him.
Maybe that's why Bill plays the ride so much.
Well, so I
He
played
plays
his
the ride a
kit
lot.
last year for this like special show they do in Fort Collins, and I helped him set his kit up, and I got to play it. I got to play a song, and his hi-hat and like crash cymbal, like left crash cymbal, are like almost the same
Yeah, there's right there.
height. Yeah, and so he can play up here, and then he has all the room, so he figured it out.
And he plays it's funny that like he'd probably if I had to drill down like the single biggest influence on my playing, it would be him.
Same.
He plays the ride like a psycho, and I never play it. Like, because like Bill probably rides like more than most.
Right.
Um, like like a lot of punk drummers play the ride a shitload, but Bill plays it like a real shitload. Like he's playing it all the time. And then I never do, but like he still was probably my biggest influence on just playing the drums.
Well, in the way he would go to it, I always thought it was really cool that he would go to his ride cymbal without hitting a crash first.
Uh,
Like on the older records, he would do that a lot, like on the All albums. And so I started picking that up a little bit. And even on like, like early Descendants, he would do that too, but it kind of went into the All era. And then when I watch him live, he tends to hit his crash before going to a ride. But I notice he doesn't hit his ride with the snare anymore. He kind of lifts it up, and
yeah,
I think that makes him a little more efficient.
I feel like his whole style now is about efficiency in movement, and that's why
Yes.
his kit is set up the way it is because he
Hmm.
can almost reach everything without hardly moving his arms.
Yep.
And like, I mean, whatever he's got to do, I mean, he's playing faster stuff than I play, and he's a good bit older than me, so I know how it
Mm.
starts to feel as you age, and he's still doing it. So,
It
you
gives you
know,
some hope, right?
yeah. Well,
I mean, I
I
have to alter my kit all the time as I get
yeah,
older.
my next thing I probably have to do is start playing smaller sticks, which I don't want to do, but
Instead of those heavy, what, 5Bs?
I play two Bs.
Oh, okay.
Oh, jeez.
And part of it is I break so many cymbals. Like I got a new pair of hi-hats when we just were in Minneapolis with the Get Up Kids, and that was 9 shows ago. I got new hi-hats and I've cracked them already. And then like my left crash cymbal will last about 8 shows. And I know like the dudes, the guys that know are gonna like alter your technique and angle it towards you. And it's like, yeah, I'm not going like I don't like how that feels. I don't like how that sounds.
Right.
So because there's those guys in the drum groups that are like, oh well, you gotta just change your technique and you gotta like hit it different. Like, no, like I've been hitting it this way for like 40 years. I'm gonna continue to hit it that way. But I think what I could do is get a little bit lighter sticks and it would probably not break the cymbal. But I think
I'm,
physics would say a 5B will probably break the cymbal slower than a 2B because it's lighter.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm sitting behind my kit right now, and I'm noticing that like all my expensive cymbals are tilted a little bit, and all my cheap ones are flat. Like these are the ones I'm willing to break. But dude, I have these. You should check out Vic Firth makes a 55A. It's like kind of right in between. So it's just a 5A that's like
Oh.
a little bit heavier. They got a good weight to them.
But
Um,
that's smaller than a 5B, right?
yeah, it's like right in between 5A and 5B, but it's nice because like they still got a decent amount of weight to them, so they move around pretty well. But
I think my
and
next
I
I'm gonna try 5B first because I got 2B down to 5B is a pretty big step down. Like 2B is a lot
yeah,
heavier
that's true.
than a
You're going like
5B.
a 7A.
Well, I tell
But
you, my A customs have lasted me 10 plus years, and I play
wow.
pretty hard. And I couldn't believe it because I would break all my cymbals too. And my A customs, not a single crack, nothing.
So those last because I've had those before. I usually play TRXs now. Like I sort of have they don't give me free cymbals, but I get a good discount with them.
Hmm.
But I was in a pinch and I bought some K. I bought a like K custom and K hi-hats.
Yeah.
And those K hi-hats are the ones and that K crash is probably going to be dead in like 5 shows.
Yeah.
The A's, I think, are more durable than the K's.
Yeah. I broke my
Oh,
K's.
absolutely.
But I like the K's sound better. Like
I do too.
they're like so like just dry and like sizzly.
That may be why they break.
Yeah. They're just like brittle, but they sound great. They sound amazing.
Yeah. I was bummed when mine broke. I was really young and buying K's was a big deal.
It's expensive.
Yeah, even now, like I look at cymbal prices, I'm like, I like my cymbals. I'll keep what I got.
I'll tell you what, the TRX, the Alt series are like pretty damn close to the K's and they last. longer and they're a lot cheaper.
I think my buddy Aaron Yorty, he was playing in the band called Chaser. I played in Canada last year for a festival, and I used some of those, and they sounded really good. So I need to look into that.
Yeah, just next time. Well, if your A's have lasted 10 years, you might not be in the market anytime soon.
No, but you know, I would like to get something different just to test it out. I was watching your videos that you have online, and I was looking at your kit that you have that kick. I couldn't tell what kick you're. There was kind of like a natural wood looking or kind of a yellowish kit you were
Okay,
playing, but it
that
looked
was
like
my
a
old
big
one.
kick drum.
So if it was a green one,
It was kind of yellowy.
the yellowy one's just that's a regular like 22. That's a Premier Signia,
It may have been the camera at like a wide angle lens or
the
something.
real wide angle lens. That one is a 22-inch Premier Signia. I sold that kit. That was like kind of my first like real nice kit, and I sold that one.
Yeah,
And then on the more recent ones, I don't think I have any. I play like an acrylic kit now. Oh,
that
that one.
one.
Oh, that's my
Yeah.
Madison. That's a normal size kick. It just looks.
Okay. Okay.
That's a Madison Drum Makers. That's just a 22, and I think what's the depth like 14? It's not very deep. It's maybe like 14 or 14 or 14 or 16 deep. I don't even know. It's
Which?
not deep.
Oh, your kick.
Yeah, it's like
Man,
22 by something.
it's that wide angle lens makes everything look bigger.
Yeah, it looks like one of those like real deep long ones
It
from the
does. I was like,
south.
man, that's a
Yeah,
big
Travis
kick
Barker's kick
drum.
drum over
Yeah. And then I noticed you had a ride cymbal.
Well, I just crash on that though. Like
Yeah.
it's that one sounds fantastic when you crash on it. I've broken that one. That's that Sabian, what is it, the AAX or whatever.
Hmm.
like the raw bell.
Yeah, that thing was awesome, but it was super thin. Sounded great for crashing on, but it didn't last a real long time.
That's
Oh,
I
you already
actually I
broke
got
it?
Oh yeah, that one's
I have those are right here. I have the hats, the versions of those, the AX high frequencies. I love those things. They're great. I don't know, man. I never cared enough about having matching cymbal sets. I think that like picking and choosing kind of just what sounds good to you and going with different brands is fine. I think a lot of people get focused on having like a set of this and a set of that, but just make your own sound. I think that's kind of a fun way too. Do you jelly bean together your kits sometimes?
I have before, but I usually just have like for forever from like 1994 to like 2014, I just had this one Premiere kit and that's all I had. And then I sold that and then I got the Madison Drum Makers Maple kit, I don't know, around 2017. I still have that and I have a Madison Drum Makers acrylic kit now and I just the acrylic one's the one I tour with and the maple one is at my friend's studio, like Bomb Site Studio here in Bloomington. It just so if I ever want to record that they're just over there.
Nice. Did you ever get into the whole like hoarding snare drums and all that stuff? Or are you pretty minimalistic?
Let's see, I have three. I got about eight snare drums.
That's not. I mean, for how long you've been playing, that's
And
good,
really,
dude.
probably 95% of the shows I've ever played were on this one the Pearl free floater, the brass
yeah.
6.5 by 14. But I'm trying to retire that because there's like a little thing in those tube lugs that breaks, and I've broken probably 60 of those. And you have to like, it's hard to find the part, and it's like $11 a piece.
I mean, at this point, you just could have bought a second snare drum with all the
Yeah.
money instead of
Well,
replacing those
well, I've
parts.
been trying to find a drum to retire that one for the last like decade. Like trying to find a drum that is as satisfying to play live as that drum.
I mean, the free floaters are just such a unique beast.
It's
I wonder if you'd ever
it's
probably
loud.
not
It
gonna.
has like more bottom end than any other like 6.5 by 14 brass. I've been playing lately like a Black Beauty, and I have like a Madison Drum Makers like Black Beauty copy, and I have a real Black Beauty, and those are kind of the two that I use now, and they pretty much get the job done.
I don't know how much of my shelf here you can see, but obviously I'm a fan of brass
Yeah,
too.
I think I have only two maple snares. Well, I have a birch Like the one I played mostly on Born to Quit was a Tama Superstar. It's an 8x14 birch, and I still have that. But I've over the years I started sitting lower and lower, and I can't. The 8-inch snare is too tall now
Mm.
for me to play. I'd
Right.
have to sit higher. I'm like such a low rider when
Dude,
I
they make like I can't remember who makes it, but someone makes like it's called like the a low boy or something like that. They make a stand that goes down like a couple inches deeper than most of them do.
yeah, because most won't go down low enough. So now I'm just like hitting nothing but the rim on the
That's
drum.
why this I have this 15-inch marching snare that actually our town does a like bulk garbage pickup, and my friend pulled that out for me. But I can't get a stand to go low enough to play it. But I mean, that thing I just put regular heads on it, and that's a monster. It sounds so good, but yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to spend $80 on a stand for it when it came out of the fucking trash can. You know?
Yeah.
I have three wood snares and I only play one. I don't know why. It just sounds so good. You get stuck with one and then the other two are just kind of there to look at. All wood. One's maple, bamboo, and walnut. And I just can't get the other two to sound good.
So you don't like the brass, right? You're not a brass
It's
snare
not
guy.
that I don't like the brass. I don't know. I've just always been a wood guy, but I'm definitely looking into experimenting. I just built my studio, so um, I'll be getting some different sounds in here and playing around with them for sure.
Do you find like if you're playing live, right? Like there's just a way in your head that the snare needs to sound,
Hmm.
especially for live. Like in the studio, it doesn't matter as much. But like live on stage, like the snare needs to sound and like feel a certain way. And if it's doesn't sound whatever way that is in your head, like it's
Hmm.
just ruins your whole experience.
Yes.
So if you
Yes.
have like a drum that does that for you, it's so hard to switch to a different one. Like for me,
Yeah. You get so dependent on that sound.
and I'll find like if I have a different one, like I'll start hitting even harder, and then like I'll get really gassed because if it doesn't sound right, I feel like, well, I must need to hit it harder.
Right.
And I'll start hitting even harder, and like that's not doing it, and like it's just weird. And I can't even describe to you like what the sound is, but it just needs to sound like the brass free floater.
Dude, have you ever excuse me, have you ever tried the S hoops before?
I have not.
So are you familiar with them at all?
Uh-uh.
So they're well, I mean, I guess they go on any drum, but it's weird how the edges here, the edges like curl over, so they come up. I don't know if you can
Okay.
see that,
Yeah.
but it curves over the head
Oh yeah.
by like just a little bit. And this snare drum, that's a brass Tama Art Star. And it always sounded good, but not quite there. And I don't know what it is about this head, but I put it on there and it's so much louder. So I wonder too if you could just get a brass, like a normal brass snare, and throw one of these
Or
on there.
is that rim or whatever? Is it like stainless?
Yeah, it's stainless, but like I said, it comes over the
Hmm.
head of the drum. So such consistent rim shots, and they're a little bit more forgiving on the stick. And cross sticking on it sounds great too, but it really opened the drum up. And I think that's something that's overlooked a lot is just even swapping out rims.
Yeah, the hoops or whatever they call them.
Yep.
I think it's a hoop. I think that's part of the deal is because the free floaters have like it's a stainless steel like cast hoop. And like the Black Beauties and all those have like a flange, and I don't know what that is, like aluminum or something. Like I don't know if it's aluminum. It's not stainless. Like
Right.
they weigh like a third of what the hoops weigh on the pearl. Maybe I should try taking the hoops off the pearl and slap those on the Black Beauty and see if
Right.
that makes a difference.
Well, I think the biggest thing that you're going to notice with the pearls and any free floating is that none of the hardware is mounted to the drum, right? It's all
Yeah,
self
so just
connecting. So I mean that's gonna just let the drum open up a little bit more. But yeah, these things, and then I don't know, Matt, should we say, shamelessly plug the sleeved washers? You ever try those before?
Oh yeah. I got some right here.
We got to send you some, Mike.
Yeah, I
These
haven't
things,
tried mine yet.
I'll try them out.
oh, dude, they're great. I'll sometimes sometimes I'll cheat and use a tune bot on my snare drum just if I want to mess with it. And usually I'll have to turn the key this much to make a huge difference. Since I started using these things, man, like my drums do not move at all. They help them stay in tune, but they're not as, they don't lock, but they stabilize it really well. And Matt, who makes those again?
Um, Rhino, he's the drum tech for Descendants. I don't know if you know Rhino or not, but he makes these sleeve washers. I don't know if it's through, let's see, is it through Hendrix drums or is it separate? Oh, it is. It's a Hendrix drums product. So
And that probably keeps like your bottom lugs from like falling,
yeah.
nuts from falling
See,
out.
that's what happens to me too.
Yeah,
You
like I'll
just
push a set and there's like two like lug bolts like just on the ground.
Yeah.
what color kit you playing these days?
It's orange.
Orange. We'll see if we can get you some orange
Yeah.
washers sent
Yeah.
out your way.
Yeah.
These things really, man. I usually don't like gas up on products like this, but where he sent us some, and I couldn't believe how much of a difference they made. It's pretty crazy, and I swear it changed the sound a little bit too because there's no more metal on metal um, contact, and that's probably what's going on with the free floater too.
It's
We should move on, man. I'll talk about snare drums for
Yeah,
like
we're getting like
six days straight, man.
it's
I
funny
love it.
though,
I
but
love this stuff,
12
man.
people in the world that want to hear what we're talking about.
Well, other pretty much only drummers is going to be listening to this, so
Yeah.
I
it's
think
funny
they'll
because
be right at home.
my lug will fall out of the bottom of my snare drum, and I'm like, I like how that sounds, and I'll just keep it out.
Yeah, and sometimes when like the lug bolt like closest to you that you're rim shotting on, that one will go all the way loose, and like sometimes that sounds really cool when just
Yeah.
that one is like just all the way loose.
I
I think
hardly
that's
ever
what
tune
the
my drums. I hardly ever tune. Like they just always, I don't know why. They just always sound good.
I just tune it like I don't ever tap like by the lugs. I just like tune around until
Yeah.
it feels right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
I
did
just
you
hit mine
ever
really hard.
Mike, did you ever feel I don't know, feel the need's the right way to say it, but since where a lot of other drummers would be riding on the floor tom, you're typically riding on your rack. Do you usually use like a 13 and pitch it lower on purpose or
Yeah, my rack tom is 13 and I tune them real low. Like, and I think that comes from being like growing up listening to Bill, like his toms are tuned real low.
Yeah.
Both of them are just like a lot of attack is like a lot of attack and not a whole lot of ring, like real like thumpy and kind of thundery. So I feel like my rack is tuned low enough that like if it's on a record, you probably wouldn't even notice that I'm like riding on the rack versus the floor because it probably sounds like some people's floor tom.
yeah, but when you do move over to the floor, it's like fucking gut punch.
Yeah,
It's thunderous. It's yeah, sounds awesome. Who were there any drummers outside of the punk rock world that like kind of drew you in the earlier years, or did you get more into that stuff later?
like very early on, like I would play along a lot to like Tom Petty. I don't know who his drummer was, but it was like simple stuff, simple enough that like I could do it like when I was just a beginner. Um, and then later on, and I don't really play like this guy at all, but the Brian Downey, who was drummer for Thin Lizzy,
Hmm.
I think is just one of the most like entertaining drummers to listen to. And like those couple records like Thin Lizzy, like Jailbreak and Bad Reputation for just rock music, I don't think there has been two better albums made for just a great sounding band.
Right.
Like everybody's like playing everything exactly as it should be played, like for that.
Mm.
And every time I listen to those two albums, I'll just think like, man, this is the greatest band of all time. Like nobody is as good as this band. Uh, Pretty much every time I listen to like Jailbreak album by Thin Lizzy, that's what I think the whole time I'm listening to it. Like this is the best like band of rock musicians that's ever lived are like those guys.
It's funny how you can have things that are inspirational, but I don't know, maybe it's more of like the feel that you try to replicate rather than like actual fills or learning from it. Like Igor from Sepultura was like my biggest influence as a drummer as a kid, and I think a lot of like the speed came from that, and not from punk music, but I think throwing in like polyrhythms and stuff with like the Brazilian aspect of their music, like it definitely. I think Dave Mello said it in his interview where it's like you take these influences and you try to steal them, but you can't play it right, and then you just kind
Uh,
of accidentally make it your own thing, which is like it's so true. Like like I'll try to steal a fill and I'll fuck it up, and I'm like, oh, now it's my own thing, and sometimes you make something cooler out of it anyway, so it works
yeah,
out pretty well.
I do it this way. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I ended up creating a lot of fills. Like when I joined Alkaline Trio and I had to play like all of the Glenn Porter songs, and like I can't do most of that stuff that like Glenn was. He's a freak. Like Glenn's great, and like nobody can play like Glenn other than him. So I ended up making up a lot of fills that were like close enough. Like these are close enough to what he was doing, but it's like my way to do it. But because I like maybe Derek, I didn't see Derek play with him much. Derek could probably pull off all the Glenn stuff because he's technical like wizard. But like I had to interpret Glenn's parts and just make it how I would do it. So you're right, like, and Glenn was an influence on me because like he was, I mean, he was my age, but he was the first like good drummer I ever saw live. But like
yeah,
he was like technically more, he had a lot more like chops and stuff than I did. So I would like take some of what he was doing, kind of dumb it, turn it to like my caveman style of like, how can I take that and make it like louder and harder, but like simpler?
yeah. Oh, dude, I think a lot of us are probably just as influenced unknowingly by the people that we grew up playing with as well, maybe even more than other drummers that you just listened to as a kid. Um, so, dude, I mean, how did that all come to happen with Alkaline Trio?
Uh, so towards the end of the Popes, like Alkaline Trio had opened for us a couple of times. I think even like the one of the very last Pope shows, the first time before he broke up was at Double Door, and Alkaline Trio was like main support on that. And growing up over the years, we all were from the northwest suburbs of Chicago, so I kind of loosely knew Matt and Dan. And it was, let's see, Popes broke up in 98. So I was kind of just chilling, not doing much. And the trio, Matt and Dan called me, I think it was like early, sometime in 1999. And they had gone through something with Glenn. They were going to kick him out. And I think I was like, at the time, like they weren't a huge band yet. So like, it's not like they could get Adam Willard at that time or somebody like that. Uh, or Derek Grant. Like they weren't big yet. So like they kind of knew me and they knew I could kind of play. So they just called and said, "Do you want to join our band?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Was the writing process like vastly different with those
That
dudes from
one
Popes, or
is different in that like all three of us would, it was like a three-man deal. Like Dan and Matt would just come in with pretty much like a full song. Like these are the verses, these are the choruses. Sometimes we'd conjure up like a bridge like on the spot. But it was very similar to how I work with Josh, only it was three people instead of two. Um, and we would just, you know, they'd come to practice, they would like play it and sing it one time, and then next time through, we just start playing. We start playing along and then kind of see what happens.
did you have pretty much creative freedom to do whatever you wanted with it, or
Yeah, like usually by like the third or fourth time through the tune, like somebody might be like, let's put a stop here, or like, what if we move this part to there? But like I don't think they ever, neither Matt or Dan really had like said I want this beat or that beat. Like they were pretty much happy with like the parts that I made up. So we that was nice. I've only been in like one project where like some of the parts were kind of dictated, and like that was a project that's kind of more like mathy and uh tons of different parts in each song and like needed to be that way. And it wasn't like punk music. So I feel like when I hear like a punk song, I know at least what I think is like the right thing to do to it.
There's
right?
nothing like a guitar player telling you how to play a beat, right?
Yeah. Well, Skiba at least he started as a drummer, so he like
Yeah.
that drum.
Yeah, most of them do play drums some.
But Matt and Dan, neither of them ever said like, do this beat or that beat. Like they were
Yeah.
just like, that's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, when you have that creative freedom, man, yeah, I've been in a couple bands where it wasn't as creative, but I was glad for it in a way. And then whenever I was able to be creative, I was almost trained to just have a better ear for I think it actually benefited me to have a little bit of that hand holding early on,
Mhm.
and it helped it make a little more sense as I was
Yeah.
older and did a little more complicated stuff maybe.
I think like early on with the Pope stuff, me and Josh were both so young that neither one of us really knew, we didn't either one really know what we were doing at all. And even as a band, like some of the songs we'd flesh out as like a whole band at practice, but none of us really knew what we were doing in terms of like this is how like there's not a right way or wrong way, but it's like we didn't really know like the right way to structure a song or like I didn't even know like you should try to start and end the song at basically the same BPM tempo. You know what I mean? Like
I
I
do not agree with that. I think it should always get faster.
like well, that was young me would have definitely agreed with that. We'd start it like we'd finish it like 25 BPMs faster than we started. And I never knew that like that's something you might want to try to keep at the same tempo. Like I didn't know. Or like the chorus is more fun, so let's play that faster. Like uh it was
Well,
kind of
and
cool.
I was gonna
Oh,
say there's so many like things that influence the BPM. It's if someone's
yeah.
watching you, you're gonna play it faster.
Even to this
No,
day, I'll see like videos of like Pope shows like to this day, and I'm like, wow, we're playing that fast.
It's
Whoa.
you're feeling the energy of the crowd.
Uh,
It's a real thing.
yeah,
but
you have
how
no idea. Like you might even feel like it's too slow, and then you watch it like later, and it's like, wow, that's like 20 beats like too fast. Oops.
And where did I get that energy?
how can I get it back now?
Yeah.
Right?
Dude, I wanted to ask, I don't know if necessarily the inspiration for it, but my daughter picked this song too from Alkaline was Private Eye. It's another one of those things of more like I've started to realize that I think I have questions and it's more commentary than anything. But in the opening part of that, before the lyrics come in, I started noticing that really interesting pattern where it's and then a crash. And I think most people would have stayed on the crash there, but you did one crash back to the hats and then did 1, 2, 3, 4 back to the crash, which created like a really cool accent. Did you? I know this was a long time ago, but did you ever mess around with stuff, or was that just the way it came out and it happened, or did you try different accents and go back to it, or?
That was just the way that like I probably play it that way like the third time I ever played the song. Like where I if I hear like a riff like that, and that song is like one of my very favorite tempos to play. And like so all those drum parts in Private Eye just kind of that's just what came out. Like I hear the song and like that's how I would play that like 100 times out of 100 pretty much.
Yeah,
Like I don't know why. Like it's just those kind of accents of where did that come from? I don't know.
dude, that song's got some of the most killer. I think that's like your what's the word, like opus.
It's a great song. Like it's one of my favorite Matt Skiba songs. Like kind of the cadence of his like vocal melodies and stuff in that one, and just the lyrics and like the just like the overall like vibe of the song is just super cool. It's like a cool song.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's actually that's the first time I ever heard your drumming um was that song, and then the next one was is it I'm Dying Tomorrow? Is that the name of the song?
Yeah.
So my friend Dave Connor that I grew up with actually he played that stuff for me, and I spoke to him on the phone today, and I told him we were talking. He was like, "What the fuck, dude? That's awesome!" And he's like, "You got to ask him." He goes, "I don't know, as I can put it more subtly, but were Matt and Dan like really like worshiping the devil outside of the band too?"
No,
Like, I
no,
had a feeling that was the
no.
case.
Like Dan is just like a both of them. Like we got along really well. Like kind of early phases of me being in that band. And I haven't seen or talked to Dan in a long time, but I feel like I got pretty close to Dan during our time together there. And he's just like, Dan especially is just like a Northwest Chicago suburban kind of nerd like me. That's not an insult. Like we're all just
No,
like nerdy suburban dudes.
all a nerd one way or the other, right?
Yeah. Just pretty genuine like Midwestern dude. And like Matt was the same. He grew up the same. Matt was, I would say, kind of more like artistic, like where he really, really cared a lot about like the aesthetic of a thing and the kind of like I don't want to call it branding because that sounds like, corporate, but like I feel like Matt, like he had like a full artistic vision for his band beyond just what it sounded like.
Right.
Like he had like a visual kind of the whole package, like an aesthetic that he wanted the whole thing to be. And
Yeah, I mean, if the Ramones didn't have the leather jackets and the bangs, it
yeah.
wouldn't be the Ramones. It wouldn't have the same impact.
But I never, on the boss or in the bands, I didn't see any satanic rituals happening. Maybe after I left that, maybe that grew. I don't know, but I think so.
So, dude, what ultimately sort of ended the time with Alkaline? If it's,
To my
dude, we don't have to. If it's,
No, it's fine. I don't really fully, I don't fully know. To my best guess, I think Matt mostly just got sick of me. I think he found me to be annoying, and I think it was a combo of, I think he just was generally irritated by me for some reason. I don't know why. And then I also like was always kind of pushed back a little bit on how much we were touring. Like we toured like an absolute shitload those years. I think like the last 12 months I was with them, we probably did like 200 shows.
oof,
And I had like my son at the time was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old. And like I wanted to be home a bit more. And like his vision was to make this band as huge as possible. It's his band. So I think and then maybe that's why he became irritated at me. Like I was like maybe in the way of them getting to where they wanted to go, in which case it would make sense to like say like you're fired and we'll get someone else,
right.
because
But
I don't think I could not have kept the pace that of touring that band has done over the last 20 plus years. Like there's no way. Like if they wouldn't have booted me at that time, I would have made it maybe another year and I would have had to quit because I can't tour at that. It's insane the amount of touring they've done.
yeah, I mean, I guess you just get used to being on the road and kind of staying that way. But yeah, I mean not that you know, it's not any other age, but that's such a fun age to be around the kiddos, man. They're
Yeah.
just like that unbridled just truth and hilarious, like the funniest stuff, dude. So it's cool that you had enough like integrity to know that that was what was important and that's where you were needed the most. And that's fucking rad that you did that. So
Yeah, because like since then, like I haven't like we did Duval and we did like a little bit of touring, and then I didn't really tour like 99 2000. Since 99 2000, that's 25 years ago. The most I've toured since then was last year. Like the most shows I played in a year since the year 2000 was like 2024. And we played like I think around 80. Uh, so like I just in the Popes leading up to that, we toured a bunch, but it's just like I don't know. For me, I don't find it to be very easy. Uh, I think it's like super difficult, and like I can't, certain aspects of it I can't get used to. So it's just like I love playing shows. I love like meeting the people and being out there, but like it's hard. Like I don't know if it's I have trouble sleeping out there, and then like the way that I play physically, it's very hard to recover, especially as I'm getting older. Um, Playing like 5, 6 days in a row, like different things on my body hurt like new every time. Like, oh, what's this? Oh, this hurts now on the back, hurts now on the knee. Can't hardly stand up after I play a set. Like that's great. So yeah, it's huge respect to the bands that can like do that 100 plus shows a year for decades. It's impressive, and I think it's physically more challenging than most people understand.
Well, and
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
when we get older, we want more comforts as
Yes.
well. You know, we
Oh
can't
yeah.
sleep on couches and floors of
No.
someone that was at a show. You know, it just that it's just yeah.
Yeah, I become like a total like I need it to be the right temperature.
Yeah.
I bring my own pillow. I've got like an adjustable bed at home, and if I have to sleep on just the flat bed, it
That's what
sucks.
I'm talking about. I need
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah.
No, but I could sleep on someone's. I mean, I've done it many times. I just turned 45 the other day and I'm just thinking, would I still do that? Maybe like one or two nights, but I couldn't do much more than that.
Yeah, when it's sustained, like we did a long like this last summer we went to Europe, and then like 8 days after we got back, we did like 32 shows with the Get Up Kids, and like that was like a huge chunk. By the end of that, I was just pretty much run ragged, and I'm like, I can't do that much again, like ever again. That was like the last. That was like my last hurrah for like a big tour.
No,
Yeah.
if you would change your technique and hit a little quad,
That's the problem. Is if I change my technique, I would be terrible because this I can only play this one way. Like any good is like that way. So if I change my technique, I would just suck. So I should just stop.
Oh man. So we're a little over an hour, but I definitely want to bring up like you're pretty accomplished solo artist. Like you got a lot of stuff out there.
I have a lot, I don't know if I would call it accomplished. I have stuff out there.
He's humble.
That's awesome. But you're doing everything, right? For the most part yourself.
I have a lot of records where I played like every instrument. There's a couple where I would have like my friend Ruben, who he's like touring bass player for the Popes. Like he's played bass on most of the stuff I released, like post 2025 or I mean 2005 ish. Like Ruben's mostly played the bass because he just sounds better when he plays it than when I play it. And sometimes if there's like even my first solo record, like Dan Andriano played bass on a couple of those, and like Eli from the Popes did a solo, and Josh from the Popes. I can't shred on guitar. I can play guitar, but I can't do like shredding leads. Uh, but I've never really had a lot of much of a following for that stuff, but I enjoyed doing it, like just writing and recording. And a lot of the stuff I record myself and like mix it,
It's
and
probably pretty therapeutic too.
yeah, it's fun, and like I like a lot of my songs. Like I've never had. I think at most at one time I've had like 2,000 Spotify listeners. You know, it's not like there's not much of not much of a following, but like I like the music, or like I wouldn't make it. Like I think it's good, but I wouldn't say I'm accomplished in that. Like I've generated any kind of following on that front.
I mean I guess I view accomplishment more as just you did it. Like
I did do it.
you have a lot of stuff and it's good, man. I mean I've done that too where I've written all parts and recorded it and done it all myself, and I think that's definitely the easiest thing to kind of knock yourself down a little bit when you're done with it, to be like, ah, it's all right. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
when it's just all of your efforts put in. It's funny is I don't know if it happened to you, but there's definitely times where I would do something and then like listen back to it. Like, oh, I should have put a pause there. Like it is nice, right, to have somebody else to kind of say, hey, like, what if we do this here instead of that? You know, so when it's all up to you, when it's not exactly how you pictured it, it's. I mean, who else can you be hard on?
yeah, it's cooler. I just did a session recently. Like I have like three more solo songs that are about done. And on this one, I brought up a couple of my friends that were in the dreaded Laramie, Zach and Lydia, and like all I did was play drums and sing, and they did everything else. And that was really cool. And like they a lot of the parts I had written, but then they kind of learned from my demos and kind of made it their own. And it was actually a lot more fun to just hear like these people who I find super creative and talented, like, oh, you're doing this shit. It's so much cooler than what I would have made up there. So like I'm excited to It's funny. I've all I've got to finish is like tambourines and shakers on this damn stuff, and it's been like a month, and I just have to find a day to go in and do shakers and tambourines. But you can't release it without shakers and tambourines. It's important.
I don't think a lot of people realize how physically demanding the shakers and the tambourines are, man. I put some on a song once and I was just, can it fucking be over now? It's just
If you're doing like a shaker through the
uh,
whole song, it's like more
yeah,
fun than playing the hi-hat, I think.
I'm
yeah,
doing a solo
absolutely.
project with Dave Smalley right now, and it's a lot of shakers and tambourines. So
Tambourine's super tiring.
I know it's almost every song, shaker and tambourine. They're awesome songs, but it's like, yeah, I want to put some drums to this, and he's like, yeah, it might sound better with some shakers or tambourines. Yeah, yeah, you're right. And
Pretty much
so,
everything sounds better with shakers and tambourines.
what's
Like if you
that?
everything sounds better with shakers
It
and tambourines.
does. It just adds like such a cool
It
feel
does.
to the songs, especially acoustic songs for some reason. Just
Yeah.
you know.
I went one step further and actually started adding washboard to a lot of stuff. I took like those rubber dipped work gloves and super glued beer caps to them, and I got dude, it's so I'm kind of embarrassed now, but there's like measuring cups all over it of different sizes to like I got like a little symbol and a bike horn on it. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's fun. You look like an idiot. There's no way to look cool doing that, but it's all right.
I wanted to before we go, I wanted to ask you about your pinball.
Yeah.
Is it do you collect pinball machines? Is that what it
Well,
is?
I mean, I don't collect them to collect them. I like collect them to play them.
You're right.
I'm a player. I have 10. And the crazy thing is, we got our first pinball machine like June of last year. So it's
Hmm.
not even 12 months. We got the Jaws Stern, it's a Stern pinball machine, Jaws Pro model. And very quickly we put like 300 plus plays on it in like a couple weeks. And then there's some local pinball tournaments around here. My wife and I started playing the tournaments. We met some other folks around that have like tournaments at their house and they have a bunch of games at their house. And that was really inspiring. So my wife and I both are obsessed with it. We're like, we need more so we can have tournaments at our house. So pretty much, my son has grown. He's like 27, going to be 28 soon. We both have full-time jobs. So like all of our, pretty much every dime of like discretionary spending, we just save and put towards pinball machines.
Hmm.
And I mean, since last June, I've played well over 4,000 games of pinball. I average probably like 15, 16 games a day.
That's crazy.
And we play like at least 3 times a month in the various like pinball tournaments. We're not good players yet, but I strive to be a good pinball player. I'm not there yet, but
What's your most cherished pinball machine that you own?
it changes by the day.
Oh, does it?
I mean, the fanciest one I own is the new Avatar one by Jersey Jack.
Hmm.
That's like the prettiest one. Like the light show and like the artwork and like
Right.
everything that's going on. It's like gorgeous machine. My favorite one to play like this right now is probably Foo Fighters, but it's probably because that's the newest one in my house. Like I've only had it a couple weeks, so whereas like I've played like 1,100 games on Jaws, and Foo Fighters I've only played like a little over 100. So that's probably why I'm having more fun on Foo Fighters right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty cool, man.
but we played in a tournament last night, my wife and I, and we're driving home. And I'm like, I don't even remember what it was like, what life was like before pinball. And like, I don't want to, I don't want to know what it was like. It's like pretty much like a full-blown obsession or addiction or whatever you want to call it. But we watch a lot less TV now. Like we used to just work all day and then like binge watch like Netflix crap. And now we just work all day and then like play pinball a few hours and then go to bed. I think it's a little healthier than watching TV.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree. At least you're upright.
Yeah, you're standing, right? You're moving a little
Yeah.
bit, you're getting your blood flowing. Like something about it, I just love it. Like, and I've always liked it since I was like a kid. Like I've been playing off and on since the 90s, but it wasn't until we started playing tournaments and meeting friends and like you get all obsessed with the rules and the code of the games and you nerd out with other people talking about well, on Jaws, you have to hit this shot and then this shot to qualify that, and then these three shot. Like, it's real super nerdy, but I love it.
We had an
That's
arcade
awesome.
that had a Kiss pinball machine that I was obsessed with when I was a kid.
Was it okay? If when you're a kid, it's probably the older Kiss because there's one from like 2004, 5-ish that a Kiss one that's awesome. Where it has a big Gene Simmons head on it, with like spits out the ball. There's a couple different Kiss machines, but
I I think I think like the main, dude, you're gonna laugh at me because I don't know, but like the main face part of it. I think I feel like it was him like with his cape out, and then the rest of the guys were kind of around him, if I remember correctly. Very 80s, from what I remember. But
that was I think that one
maybe
was like a Bally Williams one, which is also good. Better than the band.
I was gonna. Glad you said it, not me.
I mean,
Yeah,
Kiss was one of the first bands I liked as a child, but then you listen to them now, and their lyrics are pretty much offensive on so many levels. Like one of the most misogynistic bands
yeah,
probably to ever exist was Kiss.
yeah. Ted
But
Nugent,
man, Ace really could shred. Ace really could shred a solo, man. That I'll give him that.
best part of Kiss was the makeup, right?
Yeah.
That's what
I
everyone.
was Googling some images of the Kiss pinball machine, trying to find the one you're talking about.
Because there's one
There's
made
all
by
kinds.
yeah, there's like the biggest ones were the Stern one, and I think the other was a Bally.
Yeah. How
Well, as I've
cool.
mentioned numerous times in this podcast, I may have done some things that would affect memory between now and then. That's the one.
Yeah,
Yes, dude, that's
it's like the
great.
classic one.
Oh man, now look what you did now. I'm gonna have to hunt that down, and my wife is gonna murder
You got to buy it. You're gonna have to buy one.
It was
I'd have to get rid of.
1978 or 1979.
I have to get rid
Sell
of
your
it.
drums. Sell your drums. Put the pinball in there. Nobody needs drums. You
I
need
mean,
pinball.
I could get rid of one of the kids, I guess. Maybe one, two.
I need one now.
Dude, there's actually I think I tagged you in it, Mike, on excuse me, on Instagram. There's an awesome charity my buddy Steve runs called Punks for Autism,
Okay,
and
yeah.
they'll do like a T-shirt release every couple month or so, and they just put one out that's got like a bunch of punks around a pinball machine.
I did
And
see that. Yeah, it's
yeah,
cool.
dude, that's a great charity too. So I'm gonna have to order one. I don't think they're being printed quite yet, but I'm gonna jump on one of those for sure. Um, so I guess that's kind of it, man. I think we try to keep these around like hour and a half. We typically will end with a segment called questions from my kids. So they're
Okay.
gonna kind of start with my youngest and go to my oldest, so they'll get like a little bit more serious. So the first one is from my 7-year old, and she wants to know um, why it's called a forehead because we only have one.
Okay. Um, is the word rooted in like Latin or Greek? I would maybe four means front.
You definitely don't have to answer. You definitely don't have to answer
I
that
have a
one.
5 head.
I still have hair, and so it's like so
Lucky.
it's a forehead. But I would guess it's probably a Greek or Latin root word that means front, like the front of your head.
That's
You
fair
can
enough.
explore that, but you'd probably want to like Google that yourself first. Okay.
And then the next question is if you're fallen off stage.
I have not fallen off stage. Our bass player fell off stage once, um, in the 1990s, and it was fairly comical because our they were drunk. All three brothers were drunk. I think I was also drunk. I just wasn't in a position to fall off stage. But the stage was like shaped weird, like towards the back, and it was a high stage, probably 3.5 feet, 4 feet high, and there were drums down on the floor. And our singer goes up on stage and he says, "We're the Smoking Popes. We're drunk, but we're not wasted." And then you just hear this crash, which is our bass player like falling onto, crashing down on like the opening band's drum kit. So the timing on that was pretty nice.
Is there footage of this?
There's no footage.
Um,
It would have been like 1997, like nobody had cell phone cameras or anything.
great.
But apparently we were wasted and not just drunk.
And
But we don't drink anymore, so you won't see that at a Pope show these days.
then the last one, which is more serious for my oldest who actually listens to you guys. Is there any song that you don't like playing live? Pope songs.
Yes, need you around.
What about it?
I'm just sick of it. It's long. We play it at every show because it's like the hit.
Right.
And I mean, I always ask, can we leave that off at some point? Like, I know we can't, but like, I mean, it's too long. Talk about like too many, like the kick hit. There's got to be like 2,000 kick hits in that song. If you listen to it, it's like 3.5, close to 4 minutes long, just kick hitting like crazy. And like, it's just not my favorite Pope song. Like, it kind of just drones on. Like, I don't think it's that great. I never thought it should have been the single in the first place. So yeah, I don't like playing Need You Around.
What about your favorite one, or one of your favorite ones?
There's a lot of them are my favorite. On the Shoulder, we've been playing again recently is one of my favorites because it's slow. I love playing slow. I love playing slow songs. And it's not as easy, it's actually harder than people think it is to go slow.
Oh yeah.
Uh, on the Shoulder, I love to play. Um, Megan, I love to play.
That's my favorite song.
Love playing Megan. And I really enjoy playing I Know You Love Me. And like that's another one, like since that song existed, we've played it every show. But that's one of my favorite tempos, whatever tempo I Know You Love Me is one of my favorite. It's probably like 160 to 170 range-ish.
Hmm.
High 150s to low 170s, just driving mid-tempo. Kind of like Private Eye. Private Eye is a little faster, but just that da, 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 like
Yeah.
that's where I like to be, like for rocking. That's my rocking speed where I'm happiest.
Nice. Well, and I wanted to thank you for joining the drummers group that I made over a year ago, and nothing happened until like a few months ago
Yeah, it's
for some
wild. I think
reason.
you had some big guys join and they did introductory
Yeah.
the intro post, and I'm like, holy shit, like that guy's in here. What?
Yeah. I know. So it kind of took off, but I appreciate you joining and being a part of it and adding to the quality of it.
Oh, thanks for creating it. Did I see like I can't remember his name, the drummer from like Swerve Driver is in there? I'm pretty
Probably.
sure. And like I love that band growing up. That's another one where it's like they're not huge or anything, but like I lo got into them at a real impressionable age. So I'd probably be scared to talk to that guy. That's like I'm pretty sure he's in there. I'm like, what the hell?
How
He's
do you
in there.
think Christian and I feel? We're scared to talk to every one of you guys. We start out super nervous and then we feel a little bit better. Oh, he's not mean.
Well, yeah, it's a cool group. I'm glad you created it.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing would happen forever. It would just sit there. Then all of a sudden, it just like took off. And so it's become a really cool little community there. And I'm glad you're in it.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me in it, and
Of
thanks for
course.
making it exist.
Yeah. Well, we will let you
Yeah, man.
go.
And I just wanted to say thanks for just being so open to talk to us about all this
Yeah,
stuff. It was cool that you didn't, I know when we spoke the first time, I tend to ask off camera if there's stuff people don't want to talk about, and so far, no one said no. But dude, it was really great to be able to sit down. A lot of people that we've spoken to, I feel super fortunate because these are questions that I've been wanting to ask for sometimes 30 plus years. So it was really awesome to sit down and get to know you a little bit. And I definitely have some stuff that I missed. So, you can just say yes for the camera. You don't have to if you don't want to, but maybe we could do a number two sometime.
Yeah, we can do it again sometime if anybody wants to. There's people that want to hear it.
They want to
I
hear.
feel like it's like boring as shit, like the stuff I say. But if there's people that want to hear it, I'll talk about it.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. Well, dude, thanks again so much. We appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll talk to you soon.
Well, thank you guys.
We'll get you some sleeve washers.
I'll take them.
All
Yeah.
right, bro.
thank you, Mike.
Thanks,
Take
bud.
care.
Take
Have a
care.
great night. See ya.
Bye.
Later.